Did you know that about 75% of people fear public speaking more than death? That's right. For many, standing in front of an audience feels scarier than jumping out of a plane. But what if I told you that the best speakers don't rely on memorization? Instead, they focus on connection, storytelling, and emotion. Research shows that only 7% of communication comes from words. The other 93% is from body language and tone. This means that how you say something often matters more than what you say. Understanding this can change how you approach speaking forever. In this video, we'll explore why great speakers embrace natural flow, use mental outlines instead of scripts, and connect deeply with their audiences. You'll learn strategies to transform your speaking style from stiff and rehearsed to engaging and authentic. Ready to discover the secrets of captivating speakers? Let's dive in and unlock your potential. Chapter 1: The Power of Authentic Flow. When it comes to speaking, many people believe memorization is the key to success. But the best speakers don't rely on memory, they rely on authentic flow. Authentic flow is when you allow yourself to speak naturally, without over-rehearsing every word. The magic here is that it makes you sound more genuine. Think about TED Talks. According to data from TED, the most successful talks tend to be unscripted. Speakers know their key points, but they don't rehearse word for word. Why? Because an authentic connection with the audience trumps polished perfection. The audience can sense when a speaker is reciting versus speaking from the heart. Instead of memorizing, focus on knowing your material well enough to speak about it comfortably. Dr. Albert Mehrabian's study on communication found that only 7% of a message comes from words. The other 93% is non-verbal, including body language and tone. This shows that your energy, passion, and presence matter much more than perfect wording. A practical way to develop authentic flow is to practice speaking in conversation, not rehearsing in front of a mirror. Conversations are natural and help you develop the ability to adapt. Great speakers embrace spontaneity. This is why Steve Jobs' presentations were so legendary. He spoke as if he was having a chat with a friend. He wasn't stuck in his head, worrying about the next line. Remember, people don't connect with perfect speakers. They connect with authentic ones. By embracing the flow, you build a stronger connection with your audience. Chapter 2: The Magic of Mental Outlines, not scripts. If you rely too much on memorizing a script, you run the risk of sounding robotic. The key is to use mental outlines instead. Think of your speech as a road trip. You know where you're headed, but you can take different turns depending on what feels right. A mental outline is simply knowing the structure of your speech, your main points, key stories, and how you want to conclude. It's like having a GPS. It helps you stay on course but doesn't restrict you to one path. You can take detours, and that's okay. A study from Princeton University showed that people retain more information when it's presented as a story or in a structured format. By using an outline, you give yourself the freedom to express your ideas naturally, while still ensuring that your speech has a clear direction. Take Barack Obama's speeches for example. He's known for his excellent speaking ability, but he doesn't memorize every word. Obama uses outlines and relies on his understanding of the key message he wants to convey. This allows him to adapt to the audience's energy and make his speeches feel fresh and engaging. So, instead of trying to memorize every sentence, build a flexible mental outline. This approach allows you to engage with the audience more effectively because you're not tied to a script. You can adjust your delivery in real time, depending on how the audience reacts. Plus, if you forget something, it's no big deal, you can just keep going because you're not locked into specific words. In the end, it's about being present with your audience, not perfect. As the author Chris Anderson said in his book TED Talks, an over-rehearsed talk can come across as lifeless. When you stick to a mental outline, you leave room for your personality to shine through. Enjoyed this part? Hit subscribe and let's keep the video rolling. Chapter 3: Audience-Driven Speaking. Dance with the room. A great speaker knows their audience as well as they know their content. This is the secret behind audience-driven speaking. It's less about you and more about how your message lands with them. A fascinating statistic from Harvard Business Review found that audience engagement increases by 20% when speakers adapt their message based on audience feedback. This means if you're not paying attention to the room, you're missing out on a huge opportunity to make an impact. Think of it as a dance. If the audience leans in, slow down and give them more. If they look confused, adjust your pace or clarify your points. This back and forth is what makes the experience dynamic. When you're tuned into the audience, you create a two-way conversation, even if they aren't speaking back. They respond with their body language, facial expressions, and energy. This is something many great speakers, like Oprah Winfrey, have mastered. Oprah is known for her ability to read the room. She adjusts her tone and content in real time, creating a stronger emotional connection with her audience. This makes her speeches feel personal, even in a large crowd. To practice this, try watching your audience's body language while you speak. Are they nodding along, or do they seem bored? Are they making eye contact, or are they fidgeting? These cues give you instant feedback on how your message is landing. Use that information to adapt and adjust your message on the fly. By mastering audience-driven speaking, you're no longer just delivering a message, you're creating an experience. And that's what makes a speech memorable. Chapter 4. Own your pause, the art of strategic silence. In a world where we often rush to fill silence, great speakers understand the value of pauses. Owning your pause is a powerful tool that can change the way your message is received. Instead of filling every moment with words, take a breath and let your points sink in. Research from the University of Southern California shows that strategic pauses can improve audience retention by up to 20%. This is because pauses allow listeners to process information and reflect on what they've just heard. When you pause, you're not just stopping, you're giving your audience a moment to think. Consider this: great music often has rest between notes. Similarly, in speaking, pauses create rhythm and emphasize important points. A well-timed pause can add weight to your message, making it more impactful. As author Nancy Duart notes in Resonate, great speakers use pauses to create anticipation. Next time you're speaking, try this simple technique. After making a key point, pause for a few seconds. Notice how the room feels. You might see people nodding, or even writing notes. This shows they're engaged and processing your message. Also, remember that a pause can help you, the speaker. If you feel nervous or lose your train of thought, a brief pause can give you a moment to regroup. You don't have to rush through your speech. Embrace the silence. When you own your pauses, you create space for connection. Your audience appreciates the opportunity to digest your ideas. They'll remember not just what you said, but how you made them feel. Chapter 5. Emotion trumps perfection. Have you ever watched a speaker who stumbles over their words but still captivates the audience? That's the power of emotion over perfection. When speakers show genuine passion, they create a deeper connection with their listeners. Studies show that emotional storytelling can increase audience engagement by up to 50%. People are more likely to remember a story filled with emotion than a perfectly delivered fact. According to researcher Paul Zak, stories that evoke feelings can even trigger the release of oxytocin, a hormone that fosters connection. One of the best examples is Brené Brown, known for her talks on vulnerability. She openly shares her own struggles, which makes her relatable. In her book Daring Greatly, she writes, "Vulnerability is the birthplace of innovation, creativity, and change." This openness resonates with audiences and makes her message memorable. When preparing your speech, focus on what excites you about the topic. Share personal stories or experiences that reflect your passion. This authenticity not only engages the audience but also helps you connect with them on a human level. Remember, it's okay to show vulnerability. If you make a mistake, don't panic. Acknowledge it with humor or grace. This makes you more relatable and human. Your audience will appreciate your honesty. In the end, it's the emotional connection that leaves a lasting impression. Aim to inspire, not just inform. When your passion shines through, your audience will remember not just what you said, but how you made them feel. Chapter 6. Storytelling over bullet points. Have you ever sat through a presentation filled with bullet points? It's easy to zone out. Great speakers know that storytelling is far more effective than a list of facts. When you tell a story, you engage your audience and make your message stick. According to a study from the Stanford Graduate School of Business, people are 22 times more likely to remember a story than a fact. Stories create a vivid mental picture, allowing listeners to connect emotionally with your message. This is why storytelling is such a powerful tool. Think about Simon Sinek's TED Talk, where he discusses the why behind great leaders. He uses stories to illustrate his points, making his message not only clear but memorable. His storytelling approach invites listeners to think differently about leadership. When crafting your speech, think of the main message you want to convey. Then, build a story around it. This could be a personal experience, a historical example, or even a hypothetical scenario. The key is to make it relatable and engaging. Use descriptive language to paint a picture for your audience. This helps them visualize the story and feel the emotions involved. Remember, your goal is to connect, not just inform. In addition, consider incorporating humor or suspense into your stories. This keeps your audience engaged and adds an element of entertainment. As writer Kurt Vonnegut said, storytelling is the most powerful way to put ideas into the world today. By prioritizing storytelling over bullet points, you create a richer experience for your audience. They'll walk away not just informed, but inspired and engaged. Don't forget to subscribe for more amazing content and exclusive updates.